Kyrie Irving is a master of the English language. He's an all-star point guard. He's a superstar caliber player. So he took to Instagram last night. And what I'm going to play for you, I'll play 3 different cuts, spend a little time in the middle. And I want you to think about what you hear. I'll tell you what I hear, and we'll discuss it. First, here's Kyrie Irving addressing the rumors that he is retiring.
I had to stop running away from using my voice and using my platform to, speak on what's true and what's mine. Nobody's going to hijack my voice. Nobody's going to take the power away from me that I have for speaking on these things, and don't believe that I'm retiring. Don't believe that, I'm going to give up this game for a vaccine mandate.
Okay, but you don't want to play because of the vaccine mandate. So therein lies the rub, right? There's a constant contradiction there. There just is. There's a contradiction there. Here's Kyrie saying we should pay attention to the world around us.
All these people saying all these things about what's going on with me, and it's just not true. Pay attention to what's going on out in the real world. People are losing their jobs to these mandates. People are having to make choices with their own lives, which I respect. And I don't want to sit here and play on people's emotions either. Just use logic. What would you do? If you felt uncomfortable going into the season, when you were promised that you would have exemptions or that you didn't have to be forced to get the vaccine. This wasn't an issue before the season started. This wasn't something that I foresaw coming where I prepared for it.
Okay, things change. It's a pandemic. But he's saying he was told that he wouldn't have to get the vaccine. Now he does have to get the vaccine, and he's reacting accordingly. Here's Kyrie when he just came to say hi.
I came into the season thinking that I was just going to be able to play ball, be able to use my talent to continue to, inspire, influence people in the right way. Like putting this on me is just like, why are you putting it on me? This is not part of, what's going on in conversations with scientists, physicians, and doctors. I'm just a hooper, right? Like I'm just a person who's being utilized as an example. For some odd reason, people love to have my name in the mix of just some BS.
That's Kyrie Irving. I feel bad for Kyrie because he has been told how smart he is. And that can be, honestly, not a compliment, but he's taking it as a compliment. I do agree with him in terms of using his platform and not staying silent. I think that's absolutely smart and absolutely true. And it's one of the main criticisms of Colin Kaepernick, which is, okay, you took a knee, but then you had nothing to say. And throughout all of these years, you have nothing to say. You have a huge platform and you have followers. Help us, show us, what are you actually fighting for? How can we help be part of a change, right? Like that was the thing with the Kaepernick thing where he brought awareness to a problem. Okay, he protested in a way in which drew our attention based upon some help and it became a thing. And then it was, the movement was a rudderless ship and frankly it was hijacked by other movements. Kyrie is saying, well, people are losing their jobs. No, I love the idea that it's a personal decision. Yes, he has a personal decision. Play, make money, or don't. That's a personal decision. But when you're a part of a team and you're part of a union and the union collectively bargains, and this is what came out of the collective bargaining agreement, you have to get vaccinated or you run the risk of not being able to play. Kyrie I'm sure was vaccinated when he was a kid, if not before he played at Duke. You can't go to Duke unless you're inoculated. Is the vaccine different? Sure. But we're conflating all of these different ideas of personal freedom. And the issue with Kyrie is he's not that smart. Okay. He's not a dummy, but he's not nearly as smart as he thinks he is. None of us actually are. Right? You are not an epidemiologist. You are not an infectious disease specialist. You're not. And those group of people have gotten together, and this currently is the best that we could do. And he's like, I don't like being part of the drama. Okay. Well, one, You could just simply say why you're doing what you're doing and understand that your talents are respected, and that's the only reason we're still talking about you. Plenty of people don't get the shot. They're just not good enough to play in the NBA. But Kyrie's one of those guys that is not a dummy, but he's not nearly as smart as he thinks he is, and he's trying to kind of outsmart the world and make a point that doesn't really make the point. He's interested in the greater good, but in the financial well-being of the greater good? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Right? Isn't it more important that people are healthy while working than just simply working? You can do both. All of those, anybody who quits because of a vaccine mandate can absolutely positively get the vaccine and still keep working. And most people are, in fact, vaccinated. There have been so many despicable and disgraceful lies told about things. You know, there's a guy who played for the Atlanta Hawks, and he thinks he had blood clots because of the vaccine. Okay, is it possible? Yes. Is it likely? I don't know. Based upon the numbers? No, I don't know. I don't know his own medical history. I don't know. I can tell you this, that no one who plays in the NBA, no one who plays in professional sports outside of this one lone player who had a cup of coffee for the Hawks last year, their organization, has had any sort of complications. You know, you're told by people who don't know what the hell they're talking about what percentage of people, how many people get sick from using the vaccine, yet none of these people have. And if Kyrie's really for the greater good, then getting the vaccine is, in fact, the right decision to make. But we operate in a world in which we think we're totally free, and we're not. We're just not. And rightfully so. There has to be some checks and some balances. My first year playing professionally was in 2000, 2001. I played in Russia. Russia at the time, total capitalist society. And real capitalist society is super rich, super poor, very little in the middle. There weren't people helping out those in need. That's why we have farm aid. That's why we have welfare. That's why we have some form of universal health care. That's why in our country, even before we had universal health care, even now, if you don't have insurance, you get hit by a car, you're still going to be treated at a hospital. That's part of being the greatest country in the world. You don't want complete and total freedom. You also don't want complete and total socialism and communism. That's not who we are either. But the rules have been pretty well situated, pretty well set up. You wanted to play in Brooklyn. That was your team. Now, could you have foreseen what's happening, or were you told some sort of mistruths and falsities and lies before the season about if you could play without being vaccinated? If you didn't see the way this thing is going, I can't really help you. But you thought you'd play in New York City and not be vaccinated? What world are you living in? New York City has been decimated by this thing. It's not just the deaths by COVID or the sickness by COVID, but the city, people moved out. They were like, I'm done. I'm out. I'm moving to Connecticut. I'm moving to Jersey. I'm moving far away where I can just work online. It's been devastating. But all of these things have been put in place because it's for the greater good. So the hypocrisy to what he's saying is, hey, I love basketball. Not enough. Hey, I'm willing to take a stand. Well, what is actually the stand? The stand is for personal freedoms? Okay. But the stand is for the greater good. The greater good is getting the vaccine. Yes, Chase too.
Hey, Doug, if you're running the Nets right now and you watch that, 20 to 30 minute Instagram Live, what do you do with Kyrie? Like, what happens?
I just think you let him sit.
So no trade.
No, because Kyrie he's made it pretty clear, like, the money isn't the most important thing to him, and he's willing to sacrifice it. And so all they've been able to do, and this is part of the non-vaccine mandate that you don't have in the NBA, is we can't mandate it, but we can sure threaten you, and we can do everything in our power to make you do it without making you do it. That's what they've done. That's what they've done. So what do? Nothing. I hope the vaccine mandate is lifted. And meanwhile, I have some really smart people call Kyrie and go like, hey, dude, can I just give you a real sense of what we're doing here, why we're doing it, how it makes sense, why you need it? And I think my guess would be ultimately he gets vaccinated. But, if there's one guy who you would say, who's the guy in the NBA to not get vaccinated when everybody else does, Kyrie would be number 1 or 2 on everybody's list. This is like the least surprising thing of all time. And I find it curious that he's talking about people's personal, there's all kinds of things you have to do and sacrifice to work. He's never had a real job in his life. Like, this is the amazing part about it, right? Like, Kyrie never had a real job in his life. So basketball players, and I was a professional athlete, and we think we work hard, but I remember having 2 practices a day playing overseas and thinking, God, this is a job. But the truth is, that was 4 hours of work a day. There was some prep, there was stretching, there was managing your body and your sleep and all the other stuff. But like, that ain't real work. Ask somebody who really works what's that like. Ask a nurse what it's like. Ask somebody ask a coal miner what it's like. And there's sacrifices for every job. There's sacrifices for every team. And Kyrie can say, I'm not being selfish. I'm thinking of other people. But the truth is, you're being selfish because you're putting your desires to make a point above that of everybody else in the locker room. Hey, dude, I thought we all came here to win a championship. It is very winnable. And it may be, and I'm not trying to take a shot at the messenger, but remember, this is Kyrie who didn't want to go to the bubble, who said there was racism. He implied there was racism in playing in the bubble. Kyrie has been a constant contradiction. He can say he's a good teammate. He can say he's not selfish. That wasn't the case in Boston. It wasn't the case in Cleveland. He's an amazing talent. And that's why we're still talking about it. That's why people still want him. That's why he was going to get a contract extension. But somebody told him he was too smart. He was smart, and he's become too smart for his own good. He's overthinking this thing. And he's going to ruin his career and this team.